Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is 1:01 p.m. today, starting a little bit late, but better than yesterday. So a little bit of progress, every day. And it's time for a live stream. Today is Wednesday, January 5th, 2022. Did I say 2021 yesterday? I'm pretty sure I said 2021 yesterday. But it was 2022 yesterday, and it's 2022 today. And here we are. Hopefully, you're having a good day. Everyone listening on the podcast, hopefully, having a great run, staying warm and dry and staying off the ice. It is very, very cold here in Chicago. I mean, temperature-wise, it's not so bad, but the winds are crazy. Usually the winds are not this bad in the wintertime, and it's just relentless out there. And hopefully you guys are not dealing with that if you're out on your run now. And if you're watching this later on YouTube, not live, but after the fact, hopefully you're sitting back and relaxing. I've got my afternoon coffee, freshly brewed. Very excited for it. And I'm happy to be seeing all of you guys. All right, let's see who we got in the chat. Frank is here early again. Good to see you, Frank. Let me adjust this a little bit. It looks like I'm a little dark. He says, how do you set a goal for a race where there are weather conditions, hills, etc., where PRs are out and you aren't likely to get any sort of podium? How about when you're out of race condition? Well, I think for setting goals, it's I think you start with asking yourself, well, what do I want to get out of it? Right? If it's not a PR type of course, and the weather's going to be, say, it's going to be 15 degrees too hot for a PR, then what are you trying to get out of it? Why are you lining up? So, I mean, I think that's where you have to start asking that question and then set your expectations from there, right? And so let's say it was Chicago Marathon this year. For me, my goals kind of shifted. What I wanted to get out of it shifted as we got closer to the race. My running buddy, who I was going to pace through the race, ended up pulling out because of an injury. So then it was kind of like, all right, well, what do I want to get out of it? I wanted to have a really good time. I wanted to have a really solid race, work hard, but realizing that I wasn't in PR shape, so I wasn't going to be going after that. So then I kind of like, all right, well, I want to push. I want to have good execution. So I thought about those things, and that's kind of how I set my goal. The difficult thing is for road races like that, you kind of have to figure out where you're going to stand in the beginning, right? And so you have to kind of peg that to a time. But I think that if you're at a race where maybe your race fitness is not optimal, maybe the weather conditions aren't optimal, maybe the course isn't the most forgiving. So then it's like, ideally, you won't have to kind of like line up by time. You can kind of just line up in a general spot and go. But that would be ideal. But if you don't, if you do have to kind of line up somewhere, if it's a bigger, busier race, then I would kind of pull it back. If you know it's not PR time, then pull it back from what your PR time is. If you know you're not in optimal race condition, we'll pull it back even a little bit further. So that's kind of how I would start going about setting goals. But it comes down to, what do I want to get out of it? If you just want to go and have fun, then you don't have to set a time goal. So that's kind of how I'd look at it. KCA Ritual Running is here. Good to see you again. Says, hey, Co and Co. Been loving the trail videos last few weeks. Great work. Finally got a day off and can make a live stream. Well, glad to have you guys here. It is an unusual day here. You guys might have been hearing it already. The kids are home watching TV. In Chicago, there is a teachers union work stoppage. The teachers union voted last night that they would like to teach remotely for the next few weeks. Chicago positivity rate is like 23, 25%. It's higher than it's ever been. And the teachers union is worried for the sake of staff, teachers, students, communities about continuing to go in person to school. So they were like, let's just kind of like wait for the worst of it to pass and try to go remote for a little bit. The state and the city are not down with that. And so when the teachers voted that they would like to teach remotely, they got locked out. So I think technically it's called a lockout, depending on which side you like more. It's either a work action, an unauthorized. Well, I think it's authorized because they voted, but it's either a work action, walkout, or a lockout. I'm not sure. But kids are at home. They're doing fine. My daughter had a dentist appointment anyway, so we were going to miss some of school. But she has an after-school activity she really likes. She's not going to be able to go to that today. So that's a bummer. All right. So that explains if you see any noise or any people jumping into the live stream today, that's what's going on. All right. Ines says, hi, Kofuzi and everyone. Had a good run along River Nairn today with Pip, keeping Red January going. Says he who runs every day anyway. Yeah, there you go. I saw some of those pictures on Instagram. They look really lovely. Martha's back. She's back home. Awesome. I'm glad. I hope you had some safe travels, Martha. We missed you over here. Greg says, let's go. Let's go. Love it. BG says, Heiko, loved your video, but it did look cold. Just back from a 7-mile run and feel amazing. Yeah, it was cold today. I mean, temperature wise, it's not that cold, and we don't have to pay knifey spoony about it. I know a lot of you guys are in colder temperatures and dealing with probably just as much wind, but for me, I felt cold out there today, so it was a cold run. I did feel good getting done with the run, but at the time I was like, oh, if it could just be a little bit less windy. Although that being said, when the wind comes out of the west, a lot of the time, the city blocks the worst of it. If there's high winds, like strong winds from the west, the height of the city tends to protect me from the worst of it. There are some spots where it's like you're a little bit more exposed, but it wasn't too bad. It could have been a lot worse. All right. Spanish Heart says, hello from Winnipeg. I'm sure it's really cold up in Winnipeg right now. Brad Reed says, Heiko, hi all. Good to see you guys. Good to see everybody. Mark Trujillo coming in with his first live stream of 2022 and going to try to tune into more of these. Oh, that's awesome. He usually listens via Spotify after the fact, but with the new work schedule, plan on being here live. Awesome. That's so cool. Well, welcome. All right. Paul Minton says, Happy New Year. It's good to see you guys. Really good. Abdul Latif says, any suggestion for winter running shoes, which would give me some grip on bit slippery lakefront trail in Chicago? Planning for the first half marathon. So the first thing that I would say is the lakefront path is usually salted and plowed all winter long. There's one stretch where the city kind of gives up on when it gets really bad. And that's from Oak Street, a little bit down towards Ohio Street. They're right around on that Oak Street curve. The city lost a salt truck. Like it was icy and the truck slid into the lake. And ever since then, there's like, when it gets real bad, we're just going to put barriers up and tell people not to go. And we'll plow and salt every other inch of the lakefront except that curve. It's like a 50-foot stretch or like a 100-foot stretch. Although the other day I noticed that they closed they put barriers and then decided not to salt and plow the flyover. So that might be something else to keep in mind, but you can always go around by going around Navy Pier. So like you don't need to be, it's getting to the lakefront is probably going to be the part that you need to worry about more than the lakefront itself. What I usually like to do is there's a lot of road shoes from the summer that I think are fine if they have a little bit more rubber grip. The shoes that I complain about how much rubber there is, those are the ones that tend to be fine during the winter. But my favorite is to use light trail shoes. So the stuff that people call crossover shoes or the stuff that's for like buffed out trails, the kind of trail shoes that like hardcore trail runners kind of like look down on. Those are my favorite. I love them. A lot of times they come in Gore-Tex. So like for those slushy conditions, it works great in the snow. If you want to look for something that you can work out in as well, and it's still a little bit slippery, that's where certain shoes, again, the shoes that people complain about how much rubber there is on the outsole, those are the ones that are great for the winter. So I really like the Craft CTM Ultra Carbon. I did a lot of workouts in that shoe last winter. It's a carbon plated shoe. It's a little bit on the stiffer side. It's got a lot of rubber tread. It can be used on the trails. I think it's built to be a trail racer, but for me, when there's like still some snow on the ground and you're trying to do a workout, that's a great one. What was another one that I just looked at that had kind of like similar features to that? But in general, that's like the kind of thing that I would look for. So hopefully that helps you. All right. Runner Dre's joining in with some afternoon coffee. There you go. Well, Leon is here. She said, just made it. And she's welcoming back Martha. It's good to see you, Martha. All right. Juan Carlos says, hello from Quito, Ecuador. Oh, that's cool. I don't think anyone's ever come in from Ecuador before. Very cool. Well, welcome. I'm guessing it's a little bit warmer there than it is here. Slim Tai says Toronto is remote for 2 weeks in, air quotes as well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I feel like my wife and I were talking about it a lot, and we're like, I don't know, I feel good about my school. like we had spent so much time in Iowa where everything was controversial. Everything that we wanted to do was controversial. I mean, most people there don't even wear masks anymore. It's just really bizarre. Yeah, I mean, it's like no one ever gave me a hard time, but I certainly got a lot of looks. So there's an interesting place. And then or just a different place. And then when we came back here and the kids' vaccines were like starting to get announced, I would kind of do drop off and you'd talk to the other parents a little bit, making some small talk. And every once in a while, someone would bring up like COVID restrictions, vaccines, and stuff. And you're like, I don't know where this is going to go. But overwhelmingly, like it seems like every single parent that I've talked to, they're on the same page as like me and my wife here. Because I think because we all live in the same community, we understand the challenges of living in a smaller, like a more compact community where people are mostly walking everywhere. So I feel pretty good about our school. But I still think that there's still a lot of kids in the system that are going to be put at risk, especially when the numbers are as crazy as they are now. So the way I look at it is maybe I'm wrong about this, but if I'm wrong, I'd rather be wrong on the side of a little bit unnecessarily careful than a little bit unnecessarily risky. That's kind of how I've been looking at all the things. So we'll see. We're still not sure. Some of their activities, everyone in the building has to be vaccinated to go in, like rock climbing. Swimming, not everyone has to be vaccinated. It's some exception because it's a kids swimming place or something like that. I'm not sure. So we're deciding on like a thing by thing basis, but hopefully in Toronto, you guys are there only 2 weeks or even less, if the worst of it passes over soon enough. And then, I don't know what's going to happen because it's not just we've gone remote for 2 weeks kind of thing. There's like a labor dispute in the middle of it too. And those relationships are very tense here in Chicago. Michael Bartlett says, is 14 weeks enough time to train for a marathon? If current league mileage is 35 miles for the past 3 weeks, thanks in advance. I think that it might be a little bit short, but here's how I think of it. It comes down to what are your expectations, right? So if you just want to finish it, then yeah, I think that you could do it for 14 weeks. But 35 miles a week is not small, but 3 weeks is not long of a time. So like I've done pretty much that before. It ended up not very great for me. But I also think that my expectations were a little bit unrealistic. So I'd say that you can go for it now. Go for a conservative training plan that focuses on consistency and building up mileage. And then as you get closer, you can kind of see if you're already signed up for it. I'm assuming you're already signed up for it. If you're not, if you're thinking about it and maybe you're not signed up for it, if it's like, if you're running with like a family member and they really want to do it, then go for it. If you're just thinking like, I think I might want to try this, see if there's maybe a half marathon that you can do around the same time. So you're still on the same training program, or if there's a marathon and a half marathon at the same event, maybe you drop down if you get closer and you're not feeling ready. So I would say, think of it like maybe you started from like couch to marathon, probably not couch, but think of it kind of like couch to marathon in 17 weeks. Possible. I don't know a lot about your running history, Michael, but it's not impossible. So yeah, I'm not going to say no, but I would say manage expectations and don't hurt yourself. That's what happened to me. I ended up hurting my knee pretty bad, and it took me out of running for like 2 years. All right, Stacey Glastro says, as a Connecticut resident, I love seeing all these trail run videos. Lots of great trails in Connecticut to run. Are you planning on heading back and tackling some more? I would love to go back to tackle some more. I had such a good time in Connecticut running those trails. It's a very different kind of running. Sometimes it didn't feel like I was doing. It didn't feel like I was really running. Sometimes as well. I would like to go back. I mean, the calendar right now, everything is just kind of a question mark on everything. I don't know what's going to happen. We have plans for the end of January to go to Florida, go visit grandma and grandpa. Not sure if we're going to be doing that. And then February, I'm going to be laying low because hopefully we'll be going to Tokyo in March. But I also have a feeling by the end of this month, early February, we'll have an idea. I mean, I think they do a really good job of deciding very far ahead whether or not they're going to have events. So I don't know. We'll have to see. I feel like, I'm starting to think about like, all right, if Tokyo doesn't happen, maybe the event goes on, but maybe I can't go. Maybe international participants can't go. I'm trying to think of like, all right, well, what can I put on the calendar in its place? So I'm starting to think about some kind of fun fallback options. Not that Connecticut should be a fallback option, but as far as doing something relatively soon, like I'm thinking, maybe March if Tokyo doesn't work out. All right. Adam says Saturday's the U.S. cross country champs in San Diego required negative test within 3 days. Got mine today at 7 o'clock. Awesome. Very good. Yeah, I saw that Steph Bruce is going down there. She was doing some workouts in the new Cielo. I think she had the Cielo long LD spike from Hoka. Looks good. It's a good looking spike. Although I don't know what that course is like in San Diego, but it's interesting that they're doing so even just a vaccination, it sounds like just a vaccination is not enough. You need a negative test. I got to tell you, I've gotten very good at doing at-home tests. It's like it's like a little like toy science kit. So I've been really enjoying doing it. I don't enjoy doing it, but it's just like, oh, okay, I know how to do these things. Bring back memories. But I'm guessing for that you need an official. You can't just do an at-home test. All right, Johnny Sharpie says, thanks so much for yesterday's podcast suggestions. Well, I hope you found some stuff that you like. Awesome. Elias says, I'm a CPS high school student who normally can't catch the live stream, but since there's a day off from school, here I am. Awesome. Well, silver linings, Elias. I've had this conversation with multiple people over the last couple of weeks, like my mom, my mother-in-law, my wife. I've been talking to a lot of people. That's like, being a young person is great, but what a tough time to be a young person. I know that there's been tougher times in history, but I feel like of all the different populations, it's not a contest, but lots of different age groups are having a difficult time through what's going on now. But I feel like people that are like in the 16 to 26 range, it's hard. It's really hard. I think that probably the people that it's easiest for are people that are like me, my age, people that are like my wife, people that are kind of like have been doing their job long enough that they can kind of dictate a little bit more of schedule and work conditions, people that have that both power and flexibility. We're fine. There's a lot of people that have it much rougher. So I feel for you, Elias, but glad to have you here. Silver lining. All right. Bub Tub says it's windy in the Windy City. I started my run asking myself, what am I doing out here? You know what, though? I expected to see 0 people outside. I saw so many people running outside today. I ran into Cynthia J. Wheeler. I don't know if you guys know her. We met in person. We've run into each other like twice now on the run, but like I found her on TikTok, and then we started following each other on TikTok, and then I was like, oh, you're on Instagram too. And so today I saw her out there. I was like, what are you doing out here? It's so windy. And she's like, a tempo run. So I was like, you're crazy. And then I saw lots of other people getting workouts in today. I'm like, what are you guys training for? I'm technically supposed to be training for Tokyo, and I'm not doing a tempo run. And I was going to do a tempo run. That's what I had on the schedule for today. But I'm like, it's like 50 mile per hour wind gusts, 30 miles per hour sustained. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to have an easy run today. My face was frozen by the end of my run today. And like my sinuses started it feels like the sinuses are freezing. There's just tension and pain. It's almost like all the fluids that are in there start getting really viscous. That's what was happening to me today. Because it was chilly. It was chilly. The winds just, make your face so cold. All right. Michael Bartlett ran in the non-elite shirt and the Billy Ann cap. Great stuff. Awesome. I think that's a good combo. It's a really good combo. I saw Robbie Redinger from Believe in the Run was wearing a Billy Ann cap the other day. That's good. It's a good looking hat. Vernon Pace says, running the first Houston half marathon. Awesome. Hopefully, hope to see some of the Kofuzi Run Club members. Yeah. I kind of wish I were doing that race this year, but I don't. I think I'm surprised. I'm assuming it's too late to do that now, but I also feel like I'm doing the half marathon in Clearwater while our family's going to be down there. So not this year, maybe 2023. Sean Marshall's here, says, so Kofuzi's. All right, I'm going to scroll down because I'm really far behind you guys. I'm so sorry about that. If anyone had any questions, I don't mean to make you repeat yourself, but copy paste it and put it back in there, and I'll make sure to get it. Because I want to make sure that, like, if you came here with a question, I want to make sure you get an answer. All right. Viklam says, have you had COVID? I have not. I feel like it's closing in on us, though. Like touch wood, no one in my family's had it. Basically everybody I know, most of the people I know have, like, someone in their family's gotten it, but I'm like, no, man, we're holding strong. But I remember once all of us got vaccinated, I, like, made a toast at dinner. It was a very, like, my wife likes to make fun of me and says that I'm like Clark Griswold. I had a very Clark Griswold moment at dinner, like the night we all got vaccinated. I was like, guys, I feel like I've done my job. I've navigated this family at least through vaccines, and no one got COVID. And I was like, and now you're on your own. I didn't say that, but that was kind of like the joke. It's like, now we're done. But no, we're not. There's still a long way to go, but we haven't had it. And I don't plan on having it. I think it's just going to be as difficult as restrictions and stuff are. It's a lot easier than if one person in this house gets it, then what we'd have to do to try to figure out a way to sequester someone in this 950 square feet. And God forbid anyone gets sick seriously. I mean, all those things are much harder than any restriction. So we're fighting the fight. Sometimes I feel like it's like a zombie movie, and you're like, maybe I'll just get bitten at this point. But, you don't want to get bitten. We're going to keep going. All right, Sean Marshall says, budget shopper poll, ride 13, float ride grow, or peg 37. I'd probably go with the ride 13. If they were all the same price, I would go in the order you got them. Ride 13, float ride grow, and then peg 37. Just because the float ride grow is that's a fun shoe. I really like that one. Very comfortable. I think that's probably the most wearable of all those three in terms of, like, casual wear as well. But it's a little bit thinner of a stack height than the Ride 13 was. So depending on, what your preferences are, if you want to be lower to the ground, go with the Float Ride Grow. I like it a little bit more underfoot, so I'd probably pick the Ride 13. Frank said, I learned over the break that El Paso, Texas is doing a better job masking up than Denver, Colorado. A little surprising. You know what? It is and it isn't surprising. I think it is surprising. But then sometimes I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what you're going to get in Denver. It's hard to say. I'm not sure. I've never been in Denver, I don't think, other than being in the airport. I don't think I've spent time there, so I really can't say. All right. Eric Paramount says, glad to be here and make these midday live streams right now before work kicks in again. Oh, awesome. Well, it's been good to see you, Eric. I think you've been here like every day this week, right? It's good. It's awesome. Cody Davis says, it's the Wild West here in Central Florida. Tested positive and had to cancel my Disney Dopey challenge, which is this weekend. Oh, man, that's a bummer. First of all, hopefully you're having a mild go of it, and that you'll be bouncing back soon. But I know, you know what's really big on TikTok? People doing the Disney Dopey challenge, like getting ready for Disney. I think I saw more content about people getting ready for Disney Dopey challenge than I saw content about people going to or getting ready for the New York City Marathon. I mean, it's just my feed on TikTok, but there it's like huge. Everybody's doing it. I felt left out. I was like, I should be doing that. Why am I not doing that? So, but yeah, my mother-in-law and my father-in-law, they're nervous about going down to Florida. And then we're worried about going down to Florida because then you first have to get on an airplane. And I'm like, I felt fine. I've been on airplanes recently, but I'm like, I don't know. Things are different now. So I don't know. We'll see. Jeff Elliott says, my youngest is starting at North Carolina this summer. And the first 2 weeks is remote. Oh, I feel like it's all starting again. Not that it ever stopped. I know. I mean, I feel like for those, can you imagine, it was bad enough. It was hard enough, difficult enough. I'm not saying it's bad enough, but it was difficult enough to grasp when you're like, oh man, your freshman year, you're going to be dealing with this. Can you imagine if you're like, I'm in my junior year now, I don't know. It's a difficult time, very difficult time to be a young person. Cameron OC says, anybody have an issue getting used to the Noblast 2? Coming from the Razor 3 Plus, and for some reason, the Noblast 2 felt harsh for the first few runs. Feels great at tempo pace, though. See, I would expect it to feel the other way around, because I felt like the Razor 3 Plus was an interesting shoe. I didn't love it at slow paces. I like it more than, say, the Hyperion Tempo at slower paces. But at faster pace, that's when I didn't try the Razor 3 Plus. I tried the Razor 3. But I liked it the other way. So I don't know. I felt like the Nova Blast 2 was a little bit more stable than the Nova Blast 1. So that was the main thing that I got from it. I'm like, it's still soft, it's still squishy, but it's not like wild like the Nova Blast 1 was. That was a fun shoe. But I don't know. I would say give it another try, give it one more run, and see if it kind of like settles in for you. Jeremy Duke says, getting up there with weekly mileage, any tips on a recovery between daily runs? I would say find yourself a little bit of a mobility routine. Make sure you're getting in some lateral movements. I like lateral lunges. I like just doing deep squats, body weight, and not even a squat necessarily, but like just sitting down in a squat. I guess standing in a squat. And doing that kind of thing just to make sure your body doesn't start to get like stiff, so like that's what I would do, other than drink a lot of water, try to get more sleep. If you're running more, you need to sleep more. I think that's kind of how I think of it. I don't always follow that rule. It's a hard rule to follow, but that's kind of the main thing that I would think of. All right, we got some feedback on some of the longer training blocks. So Carlos says he's going to do a 16-week training block for the Orange County Marathon in May. Felt like 20 was too long mentally for him on the last block. See, I feel like, when I think about a 20-week block, I'm like, that's too long. But then I think if the 20-week block is about first building some consistency and like gradually increasing mileage, then I'm okay with it. So like, when I say I like to do a 12-week program, I've been running and kind of like gearing up as I get ready to start like the 12. But for me, once it's like 12, that's like, it's work time, right? And so that's kind of how I think of the training blocks. But when I do look at like 16-week training plans or 20-week training plans, then I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of stuff I was doing anyway. So it's not like it's wrong. But like sometimes you see them and I could see why you would do it. Like some people have like, light speed work in week 1, or I guess week 20, depending on how you're doing your counting. I like to count backwards because I like to know if I'm 3 weeks away from the race, rather than knowing that I'm in week 17 of training. But in that first week, if there's some speed work, it's good. It's interesting. It's fun. It kickstarts everything. But really, I feel like if you're in a long training block, that's like 20 weeks long, which is, if you think about it, almost half a year. Those first weeks are just about consistency and mileage. I hope. Andrew says, yo, brutal conditions in Chicago this morning run, 20 to 25 consistent and gusts of 45. That's right. It's about what I felt. Had to take refuge in the forest preserve, going directly into the wind. I was working hard for a 9:30 pace. Yeah, I mean, I think I got real lucky. It could have been a lot worse for me. But there are certain stretches where you're like, I'm going in a straight line. And within a 1 minute period, you can go from the tailwind is pushing me so hard, I have to lean backwards so it doesn't knock me over, to the wind whipping around. And it was lightly snowing when I was out there. So I could see the snowflakes like go from like here, like behind me, right, and in front of me because the wind was blowing so fast, to then like looping back around and now hitting me in the face. And it's just like, it just can't make up its mind. Sometimes it's from the side, sometimes from behind, sometimes from the front, and I didn't even change directions. So it says that. All right, let's see. Sean Marshall said, love the hat in the Saugatuck video called Rabbit, I think. No, the Saugatuck videos, all the Connecticut videos, it was hot that week. It's like 45 or 50 degrees every day. Tracksmith sent me a Tracksmith from their like trail collection. Actually, I'm wearing one of them now. It's these shirts that have like these different patches in the corner. I'm going to make a video about it soon. But some of the new Tracksmith trail stuff, and one of them is a CLE hat. So the hat is really nice. It's expensive for a running hat, but it's really, really nice. I enjoyed it a lot. I feel like a lot of the running hats have been getting bigger lately. Either that, or now that I have shorter hair, I just have more room in the hats, but I feel like all the hats are getting bigger. I think maybe it's the hair. I don't know. Brett Reed says, most anticipated shoe for 2022 for you? I'm looking forward to the New Balance selections. I'm most anticipated is probably like the Metaspeed Sky, because I think I'm probably gonna do a lot of racing in that shoe. I'm super excited for it, but it's not the most like exciting, right? Like if I'm like I can get one shoe guaranteed this year, I want to make sure I get that one. But like of shoes that I'm like super curious about, it would be the Endorphin Pro 3. Like, did they change it? Is it going to finally be a marathon shoe for normal people, or is it only going to is it still going to be pro? I feel like that's if they're going to do pro and pro plus, which I think is a silly idea, but if that's what they're going to do, then the pro plus should be what the current pros are like stuff that like actual pros and sub elites and fast people want to use. And then, I mean, because pro doesn't mean anything in marketing terms, so then the Endorphin Pro should be what like people that are like non-elites can use for their marathon racing, right? I think that's how it should differentiate, but it's weird that the pro and pro plus is really just an upper difference. That seems like a weird way to distinguish it. But I'm really excited about the Pro 3. I talked to someone at Saucony at their after party at the running event, and they were like, I don't know. They were saying that it's going to be easier for regular people to run marathons in it, but the words they were saying said that, but I'm not sure that they believed it. So I'm like, I don't know what this shoe is going to be. Maybe it's just going to be another of the same, like Pro is just like the Pro 2 is just like the Pro 3. I don't know. So I'm super curious about that one. The other one that I think is going to right now, the biggest wild card for me is that New Balance SC Super Comp Trainer, the 50 millimeter one. I like a 50 millimeter shoe. I love the Prime X. It's probably one of my favorite shoes, but it's just so quirky. And I'm like, well, if there's a New Balance version, if it's like the Fuel Cell TC mixed with the Adidas Prime X, like that's a good one. I mean, if they just made a Fuel Cell TC too, I'd be very happy with that as well. But they're not. And I think the Super Comp Trainer is going to be the closest. So those are two that I'm super excited about. Just like, because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I think those are going to give me the most kind of like anticipation, So for most anticipated, yeah, that's what I'm thinking. All right. All right. Frank says, okay. I'm real far behind you guys in the chat. I'm sorry about that. Okay. Out and back race with the wind going with you on the way out and against on the way back. Do you hold back first half or go by feel and presumably go faster than usual? I would go a little bit faster than usual if the wind's going to be to your back on the first half. But keeping in mind that, you ultimately want to have the same level of effort that you would have had if it were zero wind, right? So you'll end up being faster because you got a tailwind, but same effort because you're going to be working a little bit harder on the way back. So you got to save yourself a little bit. All right. All right. Scrolling down again. Sorry, guys. Let me make sure I'm not missing any questions from you guys. Okay. Oh, it looks like we got Brendan Cam in here. Good to see you, Brendan. Eric Paramount says, the latest Tracksmith flyer is hilarious. Is hilarious. It reminds me of a Jay Peterman, yes, Seinfeld catalog copy with all the actual stuff for sale at the back of it. Hilarious. Sometimes I get that feeling too. I don't know if they realize that they're doing that sometimes, but like, yeah. Mark says, what shoes are you using for Clearwater? That's a great question. I'm not sure. I mean, I might use the Carbon X3. I think I'll probably end up finishing using the RC Elite 2 before then. I think the Adios Pro 2. No, I think I'm going to use the Adios Pro 2. So I think that'll be it. But like the Carbon X3, it's like Florida colors. It's like the color palette of an orange Julius. So I think that might be fun to just bring down there. But I think probably the Adios Pro 2. Ryan Crandall says, what marathon is up next for you? Tokyo is the next one. And then after that is going to be, there's a trail marathon out in the suburbs here, and then Grandma's. So I got 3 between now and June. All right. There was another question down here. Mohammed Bajul says, Bajawi says, I'm sorry. Mohammed says, how do you usually plan your runs during winter when you're not preparing for any marathon? Good luck for Tokyo. Thank you. The way I plan it is I reduce mileage and I go with the flow because I kind of like let the weather dictate what I'm going to do. And so if the weather is going to be nice, I try to have a lot of long runs in a row or some workouts, and long runs. And that way, when the weather's bad, I can just do like a shorter run and not have to be out there in the elements so much. So that's kind of like I'm very flexible, especially if I'm not in the middle of a training plan, and it's mostly all easy running. So that's kind of like what I would normally do during a winter is just work on building in that winter base. I think of it as kind of like I guess like the opposite of hibernating. Hibernating is like you're sleeping for the winter, but instead of like it'd be like preparing for hibernating. I don't know. That's not a good metaphor. But I think of it as just like loading up. And that way, when the weather gets nice, I'm ready to hit some workouts because I've already got base built in. Right. And so everything gets slower. And I'm spending less time on feet just because it's really, really cold. I usually can't be out there much longer than an hour and a half in the winter when it starts getting really cold. So a lot of the runs are like an hour long, 50 minutes. So, I cut down quite a bit from what I normally do. And a lot of it's just easy running and pleasure running. Running through the snow is not quick, but it is a lot of fun. So that's the kind of thing that I build up. But a lot of it's just dictated by like what will the weather allow me to do today. I also really dislike running in the dark. So like that also like limits a lot of stuff because there's not a lot of daylight this time of year. Vernon says, I know it's an older shoe, but I just picked up the Brooks Aurora. The Aurora or the Aurora BL? Is there a difference? Are those 2 different shoes? Did you ever get your hands on a pair? Any thoughts you have on the shoe? I know it's part of the blue line. Oh, yeah. No, I don't know anything about it, but I know that they're using a lot of that technology in some of their 2022 line. So 2022, Brooks is going in like full steam with nitro foams. So they're using it in, I think every major shoe in the Brooks lineup is going to have some nitro in it. Now they're not all going to be like DNA Flash, but like their max cushion shoes are going to be DNA Loft version 3, which is like kind of like what they had before mixed in. There's like a nitro, and not all nitros are the same. So like the DNA Loft 3 is going to be nitro based, and they're still going to have like the Hyperion Tempo, and then lots of nitro throughout the line. So I'm very excited for it, but I never got a chance to try the Aurora BL. And then Martha here has had it, and she really likes it. She's been trying to get me to get into them, but I was like, I'm gonna wait to see what they do with that. But I think Martha was right because now they're putting it in everything. Shannon's here, says, hey, Co. I forgot, and then I remembered. Happy New Year. Miss you all. Well, it's good to see you. I'm glad you remembered, Shannon. It's good to see you here today. All right. Let's see. I try to keep up with you guys. All right. Volkatura says, new here. I'm sorry if this question was already asked, but he says, how do you manage running with the family? And this is kind of related to like, I don't like running in the dark, but what I try to do is make my running as invisible to them as possible. So and I think that you'll find I've met a lot of other runners that are like me recently. People who are parents, a lot of moms, people who have kids, and they're either stay-at-home parents or they are parents with jobs. I know a lot of runners are naturally inclinated toward being morning runners, but the ones with parents, the ones who are parents and have jobs, definitely try to get their runs in before everyone wakes up. And that's kind of how I normally am in the summer. In the winter, I usually try to do work while everyone's sleeping. And then I move my run towards after the kids get dropped off at school, because then it's daylight. And it's a little bit warmer as well. But that's kind of the main thing, is I try to do it at times when everyone else, where there's no cost, right? So like, if my wife was all of a sudden like, I want to work out in the morning, that'd be great. I would stay home while the kids are sleeping and I would work. And then I might say, well, then I'm going to start running at night, right? When the kids are like, not in a mood to like, we've already done dinner, we've done homework, and now the kids are like kind of winding down and like getting ready for bed. Like, they don't need me there. Well, sometimes they do, but they don't really need me there then. That might be a good time to slip out if it's the evening. Or if your kids go to bed early enough, after they go to bed is when you can get a run in. But I always do try to do my stuff, most of my work stuff and my running stuff, early in the morning before anyone wakes up. My daughter, she's like me. She likes to just get up early and like, I'm like, what are you getting up so early for? She's like, I wanted to watch iPad. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's not what I would want to do with my time rather than sleep. But like, she wants to get up and like kind of like, she like does crafts while she's watching iPad, and she wants to like do some of her own, have her own like private time, quiet time, doing like her own things that are fulfilling to her in the morning. I've always kind of been that way. And now a lot of that is running. So that's how I do it. Sorry, that was really rambling. All right. Affluent Journey says, sorry, my sister was calling me. Affluent Journey says, did my first run in the Adios Pro 2 this morning. Didn't find them to be unstable. Felt a little compressed. Feet felt a little compressed afterward. Yeah, that toe box is a little bit, I mean, that's a racer fit for sure, that shoe. But I do like that shoe. I do like that shoe. So I haven't run it in a while, but I did like look at it the other day. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about you. I'm like, soon we're gonna do some workouts. We got to get back into it. I'm kind of like behind them. I'm behind the schedule a little bit. I should have been working out like a week or two ago. But I was like, I'm going to be in Connecticut. Rather than try to get some workouts in, I'm just going to run a whole bunch of trails. And I just ran like moderate to moderate hard every day. So I'm tired. But I was like, that week was just going to be like getting ready to work out, so I think it's okay. All right. Question from Shannon. She says, I find myself always running in the endorphin speeds for workouts, races, and easy. I feel like the midsole is cushioned, but it's so much more stable than Noblest ones. Need it daily. Should I go with the Mach 4 or the Nova 2? I think I might go with the Nova Blast 2, because I do think that both of them are squishy shoes, but the Nova Blast 2 is a little bit more controlled, because the way they changed the shape of it, it's not like squishing down quite as much. The Mach 4 I think is a little bit squishier. So one, I don't think that it's a problem to run in the speeds every day. So like, if you're looking for something else for daily stuff, then I would think about going, like, have you considered something that's very different, like a Clifton? So that way you're getting something that's very different and like a little bit wider, a little bit more stable. That'd be something else to consider. But if you're looking for something else that's kind of in the same family, because I kind of say those three shoes at the same time. Although the speeds are more of like a speed day shoe, that's where I put it. But like Mach 4, No Less 2, or I usually use those two shoes interchangeably. So I would say No Blast 2 of the three of the shoes that you're talking about, but also maybe think about something very different. That might be good too. Michael Bartlett says, how long do you maintain a high mileage weeks for a marathon training plan? 75 miles, 3 weeks as an example. Thanks. Yeah, I mean, my thoughts on high mileage training are kind of changing. I found my sweet spot is in that like 70 to 75 miles range, but I don't stay there very long. I mean, the last training block, I was only there for a week. I did like 1 week that was 72.5 miles, I think. And then another week that was like 69 miles. And then another one that was like 67. So it wasn't a lot. I think it depends on how many like lifetime miles you have. or how consistent you've been running in, say, like the last 12 to 18 months. Because like if you, I don't think that you need to be there very long. I think for me, once I get to past like 65 or 60 miles, then it's like I get more like diminishing returns from more mileage, and I'm still getting a lot of return from making those miles that I'm running, having some of them be quality workouts. So like I don't think that I could have done that a year ago, because I think that like just getting to that mileage number would have been tough and very hard on the body. Then adding a lot of workouts to that, I think would have been probably too much. So it depends on what that 75 miles looks like. If a lot of it's just easy and working on building in that long distance endurance, then I think 3 weeks is a great time to be at your peak mileage. But like if a lot of it is very rigorous workouts, like getting one quality session a week, maybe doing a lot of threshold mile repeats, and then the other is a long run with big chunks of like marathon pace or maybe some threshold pace in it, then I don't think you need to spend a ton of time at that max high mileage. But I'm tinkering a lot right now, so I'm not really sure what my answer is. Andrew says, "What's going on, Andrew? Good to see you." He says, "I love running in the dark." A lot of your Instagram posts are in the dark, so that makes sense. He says, "I absolutely love running in the dark. Out here, the forest preserve is almost pitch black and it's entirely empty. I love the feeling of being out while the world is sleeping." I do like that. I take a sense of pride in that as well. But I'm like, I also like daylight. So that's me. But more power to you, Andrew. I think that's hard for me. It's just I don't know. I guess I'm very visually stimulated in terms of the scenery for running. Not that I need like fantastic scenery, but I guess I'm very lucky. And I like to be able to see what's out there. I mean, it's well lit where I am though too, because it's like there's street lights everywhere. So I never get the complete darkness unless I'm running out in Iowa. Then it's dark for sure. Very, very dark. All right, let's see what we got here. Let me scroll down a little bit. We got a super chat from Vernon. Thank you so much. He says, "Thanks for answering the question. All the hard work you put into your reviews. You and Seth Moore are the best at giving info and putting in the miles." Well, thank you so much, Vernon. Hopefully you're having a really great time out there running. And thanks so much for watching. And I appreciate it very much. All right. Let's see. Levi TV says, "Hey, Mike, quick thoughts on the Nimbus 24. Mine arrived tomorrow, and I'm very excited to try the FF Blast." I was going to make the FF Blast, the Nimbus 24 video for today, but I wanted to go for one more run in it. So there's a little bit of a caveat I have on the shoe, but I think that's pretty unique to me. But I wanted to make sure, because otherwise the video would have been done today. But it'll be out. My video will be out tomorrow. But ultimately, the FF Blast Plus is super nice in the Nimbus, and I think that like, a lot of times people are like, "What's the best shoe for like if you're going to stand around on your feet all day?" And I know when I say things like Bondi, Fresh From More, Triumph, I think the Nimbus is one of the most comfortable shoes, like step in comfort, walking around. I feel like for people that like go to the store, try on the shoes and walk around a little bit, and they're like, decide, "Yep, I want these." Like that kind of buyer is going to love the Nimbus 24. It's so comfortable. I really enjoy it. And when you start running, the FF Blast foam is really nice too. But like my right foot sometimes gets a little bit of a pain under it and under the pads of the foot. We've been calling it a Morton's neuroma. And that certain, I don't know if it's the gel or if it's just my foot right now. I don't know. I didn't have any problems with it in other shoes over the past like month. But this one made my like Morton's neuroma kind of like, I feel something under there. I think it's the gel. So I don't think most other people will notice it. My left foot doesn't notice it, but my right foot does. So that's only my one reservation about it. But it's a really good, I've never run in a Nimbus before, but like this is a category bender because it's a thicker stack height. And I think most people would normally consider the Nimbus a max cushion shoe, but this is not a max. I mean, it's max cushion feel, but on foot doesn't feel like it's max cushion. Like it feels like a daily trainer. And I put some marathon pace miles in it, or moderate effort miles in it. It feels great. I mean, I think it wants to go fast. I don't think it likes being at recovery pace. So like it's a little bit confusing to me in that regard as well. Donovan Lassard, good to see you again, says, Yoko, did you try the Skechers Max Short 5? If so, how narrow was the shoe? I usually go half size up in Skechers because they're really narrow, but wondering if I should go true to size with the Max Short 5. I haven't tried that one, but you know who loves that shoe? Robbie. Robbie, I believe in them run. So I would message him on Instagram. I'm sure he'll be able to tell you. But I've never tried that one. It looks great. But I just don't think I'm going to have time to get to it. All right. Rick Aguilar says, new to the channel, what would be a good daily running shoe? I would say the first two that I've kind of been recommending to everyone all year long are the Hoka Mach 4 and the Asics Nova Blast 2. Those are like two of my favorite shoes for the year. And I think for the Nova Blast, you might be able to get some deals if you're looking for deals on version 1. For the Mach 4, I would not get a Mach 3. It's very different from last year. So stay with a Mach 4 on that one. Yeah, Inna says that they're in the north of Scotland. If he has to fit in a day's work, any run is going to be in the dark. Do you think Pip minds when it's dark out to run, or is she just so happy to be running? She's probably just so happy to be running. Did you guys hear that? I heard a meow. I think one of my kids' iPads has a notification that makes a meow noise. Is that possible? Can it do that? I'm pretty sure I heard a meow. I don't know if you guys heard that. D76 says, that's a good password. Nimbus 24 FF Blast Plus. Yeah, you got uppercase, you got lowercase, you got numbers and a special character. So I actually do think that's a good password. That's funny. It's really funny. All right. Frank says, I'm pretty sure I ran in the Nimbus 1. You know what I think, though? I think that we are long past the time of any of the shoes that are out now making it to 20 or 30. Like the Peg 38, and we're going to see like a Peg 39. Like I don't see any more people like going that much, like, I don't know, sticking with a shoe. I mean, I guess we're on like the Ride 15 this year, right? Or yeah, Ride 15 this year. I mean, Nimbus is at 24. I mean, but yeah, I don't know. Like, do you think there's really going to be like a Nova Blast 30? I don't know. That'd be, I mean, if there's a Nova Blast 30, I'm totally going to say all the time, like, I remember when I tried the Nova Blast 1. You wouldn't believe it, but Asics thought that this was going to be a gym shoe. Like, people be like, Grandpa, you don't know what you're talking about. They did not. I'm like, look, totally it is. So we'll have to see, but I don't think that we're gonna see. Like, what would you guys think of any shoes that are like now, like Endorphin Speed, Nova Blast? What franchise? What shoe do you think can make a franchise to make it to like 25 or 24 years? I don't know. I don't know if there are any. Martha wants to know, is the right leg the dominant side? Whenever I have issues is my right leg or foot because it's assuming too much of the work. I don't know if my right foot is my dominant side. I know that my feet hit differently. And I mean, so like I would say like I'm right-handed, but I would say my left leg is the dominant. So like when I was pole vaulting, long jumping, high jumping, I jump off the left leg and the right leg drives with the knee drive, right? And so, but I think when it comes to like running, it's very noticeable when I'm running on a trail and going downhill. What I do is I kind of like step, and then I kind of like jump and hop up in the air. And while I'm in the air, I'm like looking at the ground and figuring out like, all right, where am I going to put my feet again? And it's like step. Like that's kind of what I do. The more dominant step, the heavier one is the right side. So, I mean, maybe we're talking about the same thing. What up, co-fam? He says, Dr. Josh, what's going on, man? And he says, better late than ever. For sure. Always better late than ever. Let me scroll down a little bit. Looks like we got another super chat. LJ Everett, what's going on? thank you so much for the super chat. It says, how do you stay so consistent with your running? Do you ever not want to run? This is a great question, and it's something that I've been thinking about a long time, and I want to try to make a video about it. And I can't decide if I want to make it like a 1 minute long, like TikTok or Instagram reel video, or a run motivation, like 5 minute long video. But ultimately, I think that consistency requires momentum. Not like ultimately, like the premise of the video that I want to make is about motivation versus momentum. And everyone keeps saying like, and this is kind of related to your second question, is like, everyone's like, how do you stay motivated to run? How do you stay motivated to run? And I'm like, I don't care about being motivated. Motivation is like a whim. It's a whimsy. It's like, I feel great. I want to go do something. It's fleeting, right? But like the real question that I think that people need to ask is, how do I get momentum, right? And then the answer to that is simple: is just do every day. It's kind of like another way of saying keep showing up. And so the way I stay consistent with my running is that I stay consistent with the running, which doesn't make sense, right? It's like a yogiism, like a Yogi Berra kind of thing. But I think that, once you get momentum, it is like either like self-fulfilling prophecy, or it's just something that builds on itself. And so like the motivation for me now comes from my momentum. That and like putting races on the calendar. That's the other one. But having that momentum of like, I'm used to running 6 to 7 days a week. I'm used to running all year round. I'm used to running in the morning when it's dark, or in the rain, or in the wind, or in the cold. And so it's just something that I do. So all these things that are like, oh, I'd rather not today, are not things that my mind is used to entertaining, if that makes sense. So I would say like, something that I've been hearing a lot in a lot of podcasts lately is mood follows action, right? And so like, even if you don't feel like doing it, just do it. Just get out there and get it done. And then your body will kind of like your mindset will follow. Like if you just go through these motions, and maybe that's what you need to do for a little bit. Just go through some motions to get out of the rut of like, I don't feel like doing this. And something that I think about a lot, I used to watch a lot of Dog Whisperer. Do you guys remember that show? Caesar Milan. And he would talk about these dogs and how they were stuck. And he would say that sometimes you need to get the dog out of their like kind of like behavior patterns, and you need to get them like moving forward. And he would do this thing with his hands, kind of like wheels stuck in mud. Sometimes you need to just get that first movement going, and then the rest kind of becomes easier to get out of. And so that's how I do it, is I just don't worry about being motivated, but focus on, I tell that for people that are starting out running is, don't worry about any given day. Worry about number of days a week. Don't worry about your miles or pace. Worry about how much time you're spending out there. The rest, everything else will follow. But just starting to run, for example, is not about running. It's about figuring out a way to clear out time in your life regularly to maintain a running habit. That's what starting running. That's the biggest challenge to starting running. It's not the actual running. It's the time. So that's how I feel about it. Hopefully that answers your question. But yes, there are times when I don't feel like running. Today I did not feel like running because I saw the weather forecast all last night and I was like, this is going to be not great. But I got my run done. And it was, when the wind wasn't like punishing me, I felt good out there. All right. Matt Arconero says he thinks the Clifton. Yeah, I think the Clifton could get to 30. It had a cult following from the beginning. So I think, yeah, I think that would work. Eric says, I think that they'll call a Nova Blast 3000 before there's a 30. I could, well, they got the GT 1000, they got the GT 2000. So Nova Blast 3000, maybe. I could see it. Brett thinks the Vaporfly. Yeah, but they haven't been like calling the Vaporfly different numbers. Like the next percent, I mean, they guess I called it next percent 2, but like, yeah, I don't, like the 4% went 4%, then 4% flying it. They didn't call it 2. And then we never saw 4% 3. We went to next percent. So like I don't know about that. And then Martha thinks the mock. I don't know. I think it just had such a weird start, like the mock 1, 2, and 3. No one really ran in. So I don't know. Let's see what else people have in terms of 30-minute or 30-year versions. Pegasus had both retro name and performance cred. It will outlast all of us. I agree with Matt at Cornero. Hoka Clifton has a chance. Yeah, I mean the Pegasus is already at 39. So yeah. So I think I don't know. Where does it end? Where does it end though? Yeah. And Shan had a question about the Peg 39. Where did it go? I think her question was that like, am I going to try the 39? Yeah, I'm going to try the 39. Because the Pegasus is what brought me back to running back in like 2016, 2015. I ran in the Peg 32 and I was like, this is great. This is what all running shoes should be. And I think I ran in 2 or 3 different Peg 32s, like 3 Peg 33s. I think about 4 Peg 34s the following year. I mean, the Pegasus is a shoe that I'll always give at least a try. From what I've seen in some of the like the leaks and stuff, I mean, I haven't seen any leaks that are like that end up being like completely bonkers wrong. And that's not like phones. But so like they seem to be somewhat reliable, at least in 2022. But I think that they're making some changes that I think are going to reinvigorate and change the direction a little bit from 38. 38, the same thing, where like the balls of my feet, the pads of my feet really hurt in that shoe, both in the custom version especially, but also in the regular version. I was just like, I don't like this. So, all right. I think it's a good place to leave it for today. It's good to see you, Remy. Glad that you made it at the end. So good to see you. Tomorrow we will have the Cumulus Nimbus 24 video. I've already kind of talked about it today, so you guys get the gist, but you'll see the video tomorrow. And then we'll do another live stream. Tomorrow's Thursday, so it's going to be happy hour. I don't know if I'll have kids here or not. We may have kids, we might not. Maybe they'll be in school, maybe not. Who knows? But we'll do the happy hour. In the meantime, hope you guys stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.